My name's Aaron. Welcome back to my channel. How are you? I'm fantastic and I'm doing really well. And today I'm reviewing Paco Rabanne Invictus Platinum. Hooray, one I can pronounce. This was released in 2022, £64 for 50ml, £88 for 100ml. The notes are grapefruit, absinthe, outrageous, mint and lavender, and the base notes are cypress and patchouli. I noticed there's quite a lot of cypress fragrances around. Cypress smells really spiky. I tend to think of things now on my journey of smelling, because I combine things in my mind. I think all perfumers do that. We know where we want to go before we create a perfume. So we have things which smell, go together, things don't go together. And how to do that is just to experiment, to put patchouli with vetiver, see what that smells like. And then you'll know and you'll start to develop your fragrance mind. And so cypress, I think, is spiky and kind of goes with spiky woody compounds. So that's how I compartmentalize it. Gosh, I'm very dyslexic today. Anyway, do we have our bottles of Invictus Platinum? Are we engaged with the high self? Let's get testing. Super professional. I mean, these big companies do it absolutely correctly. I hope that you're starting to look on your boxes just to see whether it's got the correct information you want or the inky there. Otherwise, the brand is not professional and you need to put it down and walk away from it, because companies need to do better. If small companies like mine can do all the allergens and do all that crazy stuff and send it off for the sort of testing to make sure it's safe, then larger companies can do. I don't like all this plastic. It feels cheap. Oh, the whole thing's plastic. I think we kind of need to do better environmentally, don't we? And this is cheap packaging, but I would love to see going over to glass and metal, and then you could put sort of slight amount on and it's more environmentally friendly. I think we need to think, companies need to think a little about doing better, I think. So the atomizer, nice and wide. So what am I expecting from this? I'm expecting that Paco Rabanne thing. The demographics younger, 18 to sort of 20. Doesn't have to be, but that's what I'm expecting. We did a lot of testing 2 or 3 years ago, maybe a bit longer, 3 or 4 years ago now, testing fragrances and seeing what different demographics. I personally found out in my sort of humble testing is that women generally like sweeter fragrances on men and younger men like sweeter fragrances. When you get older, your nose and your brain develops. I think the brain starts developing at 25. So at that point, you smell this as like sweet, saffron sweet, and over about 30, you're gonna want something more natural smelling. These fragrances are known to smell saccharine sweet, all the rest of it. And I'm dreading a review, which I'm coming up, maybe next one, but you'll see that when you see that one. So anyway, enough babbling. You can feel and see the water on it because it's leaving like a residue. Way, way, way too sweet for me. So this is obviously ethyl maltol whipping through the base to give that sort of insane saccharine sweetness. So there's two things that are like apparent as this is drying down. The lavender you can smell, and you can smell the cashmeran. And the cashmeran is a musk molecule that is solid crystalline at room temperature. There are two types of cashmeran velvet, which is semi-solid, and cashmeran, which is solid. And cashmeran, because it's a solid, can act as a fixative, can act as a expansive ingredient, so it can give elevation and projection within a formulation. It can also smell really, really clean. So when you're dealing with all these sort of sweet molecules, sometimes cashmeran can help to clean up the backbone, because otherwise it can smell like a saccharine, vomit-inducing chemical sludge. And who wants to smell like that? Not me. The elevation is crazy from this, and the patchouli and the terpenous patchouli in this are really nice. I love terpenous patchouli. It's really nice. I say about lavender, there are loads of different types of lavender. English lavender, which is my least favorite. French lavender, Spanish lavender. I love Bulgarian lavender. I think of them as they're called 40-20. They have numbers before them, and they are stabilized. So they stabilize the lavender, and obviously if you're a company that uses a lot of naturals, like the essential oils and absolutes, they can change season to season depending on the amount of rain, the amount of sunlight, what was fed on the sort of the plants, all that sort of stuff. And the thing is, with the sort of terpene compounds, the more compounds you have in the ground, well, depending on how much terpene compounds you have within the essential oils. Lavender is stabilized, and that's a great way. If you're a massive house, you want the same consistent formula. You want to smell the same, because obviously if somebody buys this, they want to buy it again and they want to buy the whole range. So using lavender that's stabilized can really help to do that and keep it all the same. Acetates, hedione, based on isosuper, diagemercinol within this, ethyl linalool. Ethyl linalool is a lovely compound, sweeter than linalool, and acts as a fixative, I think, because the ethyl group. Apparently, I don't know how I feel about that, but it's really sweet. And in combination with linalool is really nice and can make things sort of smell sweet and natural. It's absolutely as the lily of the valley raw materials. You wouldn't be able to construct this without the lily of the valley raw materials. When you smell them, there are lots of different types. It's just vast. They're generally allergen-free, except Liril. They give the smell of cleanness. And when you're constructing something like this, even a man's fragrance, you want white floral notes, lily of the valley raw materials, because they help clean things out. They have a sweetness to them. They're very nice. They're just very likable smelling. They generally smell of clean clothes. You can put large amounts of lily of the valley raw materials in a formulation, and that has a different effect than putting smaller amounts. Hydroxycitronella, that has allergens. That's an allergenic compound. You have to list that one. So that is what's been used in this one. I do like mixing two. You get a different, like a softer effect with them. Methylpampamose and some ambers help to give this sort of like cleanness. So the cleanness from this formulation is the acetates, linalool acetates, the linalool compounds, the methylpampamose, ambers, and then the base is lots of fruit molecules, ethyl maltol. And that's how this is constructed. On to my final thoughts. I think it's quite nice. It's constructed in a really familiar way. It's quite easy to make industrially because you're generally recycling the same compounds over and over again. You are working against the base of either generally isosuper within these, hedione or high-cis hedione. And then you have your acetate, linalool, your methylpampamose, and then your fruit compounds, coumarin, ethyl maltol, and some naturals. Smaller amounts of naturals, because the naturals are generally, depending on the quality, the most sort of expensive things. The ratio I personally love is 30% naturals to 70% aroma chemicals. I think you get something more eloquent smelling. I think this fits the demographic of the first fragrance in that range of that Paco Rabanne thing. Young, sweet, long-lasting, light, airy. It does smell of like candy, sweets, which is kind of alright, but it smells very youthful. And I think if you have an experienced nose, I think if you have small, medium or large collection, I think you would smell this and I think you would think it would smell a little bit immature and a little bit sort of underwhelming and smell sort of like sweets. But there's a reason why they have flanker after flanker after flanker, and that's because they are insanely popular. So I'll go through my final marks and thought processes. The box is safe, legal, compliant, which means the company is super professional, which I love. I think it's been constructed to a brief. I've had a team of perfumers, I don't know, sometimes they have one, sometimes they have that robot fragrance, have like, I think 4 perfumers. They can decide how much ethyl maltol to put in. I just sort of think, meh, it's okay. I'm gonna mark it as 7 out of 10. I think it's fine for what it is. I think the price is really good. Light, airy, fits the brief, but I really don't like it. It's really not for me. And I think if you were experienced, as I said, I think you would feel the same. But I think it's great for what it is. So below that review, thumbs up and subscribe for more fascinating, interesting content. Lots of moving hands, lots of fragrance views. Hope staying safe and well. See you soon.